There it is. It's on. It's going to be on. I told you. It's not separate. It's right always. You never put it on there.
But it has other media. You got video and all that stuff.
Are we on?
Should be.
All right, keep going.
I will check it right now. I believe we are live with Prep Extra Live, the Week 0 edition. Sorry if there was any kind of technical delays there, everybody. I'm Aram Talegian, joined by Fred J. Robledo and Steve Ramirez. Week 0 is in the books. God, what a
night.
Yeah, what a night is right. We got a lot to talk about tonight, obviously. The big game of the night went down at the Santa Ana Bowl. Bishop Amat falls to Mater Dei 24-21. None of us were there, interestingly enough, but did you really need to be the way this thing was covered?
The game was on television. I mean, I watched the whole game on television from the office, doing a lot of socialing out tonight. I thought it'd be a good night to kind of be here. We're in our new digs in Monrovia. Wanted to see how the first Friday night went off, so I had the big screen in the office. We have big screens in the office here.
Yeah, now we do.
So, I watched the whole game. It was a great game. That Amat came up short. 4 turnovers. They get shut out in the second half. I know.
We're going to
get into that. The final score was 24-21.
But here's my point, Fred. Before we even get into the game, as far as following the game, didn't matter where you were tonight with social media, with live television, with text messages of people. We sure all had friends and whatnot at the game. If not Amat parents that were texting us from the game. So it didn't really matter where you were tonight. Everyone got a piece of this action, and then obviously tonight, when this show's over, I'm going to make my every Friday night Alfredo's run, and then I will be at home watching the game until the wee hours of the morning. But
you weren't even there, and you got more airtime than all of us. I mean, they kept flashing. They were flashing the cards on TV. I think at one point the announcer said, "Who is that guy?"
Really? Yeah. I know. A lot of people were
you
theorizing.
Blown up on Twitter. They were now screenshotting you and sharing it.
Right. Well, yeah. So what Freddie was saying was that my likeness is on Amat's play cards that they hold up on the sideline. I believe that was Andrew Vasquez, the injured all-area defensive end, who was helping out by holding up the cards tonight to get the play calls in. So, but Freddie, that is not the first team to do that. That's the interesting thing. There have been others. I can't remember who. I want to say Los Altos.
That's because you're AT.
Yeah, I guess.
That's because you're AT.
I guess my likeness gets a point across.
Look at you. You look like you're out in the heat tonight. Your face, you're sweating.
It's very.
Perspiration is just
I'm
dripping off your chin right now.
It's. Thank God this isn't HD. Freddie, that's what happens when you're actually out in the field covering games.
Yeah.
Something you may not know about in this very cool office tonight. It's easy to talk. So, anyways, speaking of the game I was at tonight, Montebello 44, El Monte 30. This was a game between two teams that, everybody thought or had high expectations for, and they'll still probably deliver. Wasn't the thriller that we wanted. The game Stevie was at tonight was a somewhat of an upset, I guess, was Burbank beating Monrovia. We're going to get in depth on all those games, but we got to start. We got to go back to Bishop Amat.
Right.
The final, like Fred said, 24-21. This was the flow of the game. Mater Dei goes up 14-0. Amat reels off the next 21 points. They lead 21-14 at halftime, Freddie, and I tweeted that, hey, it seemed like, or it sounded like they played a really bad half, and they still led 21-14. You're thinking, man, they're putting
had 3
things
turnovers
together
in the first half and led 21-14. They got the interception return just before the half to take the lead. Toriano Sweet had 2 big touchdown runs, 1 touchdown run. I want to say it was 40-something yards. was just unbelievable the way he zigzagged past. Started about midfield. He just zigzagged through defenders and scored. But that second half, Aram, up 21. Modern Day started. They just ran the ball down Ahmad's throats. They didn't get cute. They just started running the ball, and it was 3 and 4 yards at a time. It was 3rd and 1, they'd get the first down. 3rd and 2 again, they'd get the first down. Ahmad in that quarter had the ball for about 34 seconds. I think their offense had all for about 34 seconds. Modern Day, that first drive in the second half, chewed up about 7 minutes, and they get a field goal. Ahmad goes 3 and out. They get a first down, then they turn the ball over real quick, and then they come down and they score a touchdown just as the third quarter was ending. Then they go into the fourth, and it's back and forth. Nobody could score. Ahmad had their chances. They got a big stop in the fourth quarter with a few minutes left. I don't need to go over this because everybody saw the game.
No, not. I mean, we got a lot of people that are coming back to other games.
Toriano,
I didn't see it. I don't know what happened.
They got the ball back with just over 2 minutes left at about their own 40 on a turnover. Big pass midfield, and then a sweep to Toriano sweep. It was a simple ball in the backfield. He just dropped it, turned the ball over. Modern Day got it back, and that was that. They were able to run out the clock and end the game. And I think a lot of Ahmad fans are going to look at this game. They're going to look at a lot of things. They're going to look at the turnovers. They're going to wonder about the defense in the second half. Traditionally, this team has always been good at stopping the run, or at least smothering it. And they really got handled in the second half. I don't know if it was that they got tired, if Modern Day's offensive line was that great, but you could tell Ahmad really got tired in that second half.
Okay.
And then the big decision is going to come. And Steve talked about it last week. Stevie. Remember? Stevie talked about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Stevie was the one who brought the big point. He didn't think that the quarterbacks it was going to work.
Really?
Tuning the guys back and forth.
Really?
Aaron thought it was going to work.
No. I don't think you read my blog, Fred, because on my blog earlier this week I posted.
I was trying to give Stevie some credit for this.
Hold on a sec. This is important because we need to go over this because this is the talking point of the game. Just gauging from what I've read on social media and the text messages I've heard from people. On my blog earlier this week, I put that Bishop Amat had the worst offseason that I've ever personally covered, okay, that I've seen. I don't think it can get worse than losing your stud offensive lineman, your stud defensive lineman, suspending your running backs for reasons that, poof, they came alive tonight. All of a sudden, we had an actual reason. But I don't think. Wait. Why don't you tell everyone what the reason was? Toriano Sweet was suspended. Now that it actually came out on TV.
I don't know what the reason was that he was suspended.
I thought they said on TV tonight
that it was a team violation, and that during baseball, to get his way back in the team, he had to continue to go to practices uninvited. To get himself on there and get himself in good graces with the team, which eventually happened.
Well, that's more than we got during the whole situation. We were told that he's no longer part of the program, and therefore we're not talking about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now Fred actually, by watching the show, actually got, somewhat of a reason. Okay, there you go. So you add that to the bad off season, and then, like I said on there, and I believe I was the one that brought it up in our preview video, that they had a 2-quarterback rotation. And you can tell me, Stevie, you could probably count on one hand, using maybe 2 or 3 fingers, the times in football history that a 2-quarterback rotation doesn't work. I remember even saying during our video, our preview of this game, that what happens the minute Ryder makes a mistake is that Damian get up. 2 series tonight, and Damian's in the game. That's a short leash, Stevie.
I mean, I've heard quarterbacks who've been in this type of thing before, professionally or college, or even not too much high school, because usually a decision is made at this level.
Right.
But a quarterback's got to get into a rhythm.
Right.
And you can't get into a rhythm when you're out there for one series and then you're on the sidelines. And
how about this? How is your confidence as a quarterback, Freddie? You can answer this too. If you're sitting there saying in the back of your mind, if I screw up, I'm coming out, rather than being told or being said, hey, man, this game is yours to win or lose. You're gonna, we're gonna stick with you, the whole time.
See, I don't know what the game plan was going in. But I can tell you this: as Ryder started the first 2 series, he looked a little shaky. Some of his passes were kind of, look a little overthrown. He was throwing into coverages. They fell behind. They came back with Damian Garcia, who did look good in stretches. But one thing that Damian does that Ryder doesn't do with his feet, he can get those extra yards. But he's another one who sometimes he tries to really spread the needle and force it into coverages, and it resulted in turnovers. Fortunately, Toriano Sweet really bailed them out with the 2 big runs to get him the lead. Then they had the interception return. But you look at that whole second half with the quarterback situation. They were going back and forth trying to figure out which one. And that's to your point. That's got to get in those guys' heads feeling like, I've got to do something. I've got to do something now to win this position and keep myself on the field. And that resulted in a lot of overthrows. That last series where they had a chance, first they went to Damian Garcia. The second to last series when they had a chance. Okay, they go to Damian, and that's he had a great pass past midfield, looked good. Pitch the ball to Toriano, he fumbles it, they lose the ball. They get the ball back one last time,
and they send in Ryder.
They throw in Ryder, and really forcing it. 3, long passes, 4th down, he gets sacked trying to run the ball. You're right, it's not going to work long term. You cannot go an entire season with these guys going back and forth. Now, if you want to go Ryder one game because you think it's a better matchup against a certain team, and then come back with Garcia a different game because you think that's a better matchup, you can do that. But if they're going to interchange in between series like they did tonight, this wasn't even in between quarters. This was a lot of, it seemed like coaches, not knowing when to put them in. It got to the point where you were really confused. You were saying to yourself, who are they going to put in this series? They just didn't know. It seemed like they were winging it. That's my hope. But they were really winging that situation. It got to the point where, whatever game plan they had for these 2 guys, I think they were just trying to say, just in their heads think, is this guy going to be hotter right now? Is this guy the one who's going to deliver it for me? And it just never happened. But the game was there for them to win, for them to take. But you're right, Aaron. Steve, you're going to need that one signal caller, that guy to either win it or lose it for you. You can't do it this way. It's not going to work.
It's one thing if you choose this guy as your starter, and then the number 2 guy, if he has a certain skill set where you can run certain formations to kind of confuse the defense a little.
Right.
I mean, this specific does that with Andrew Elfers. Chad Jeffries is their starter, but they do have certain packages with Elfers, and that can confuse the defense. But to go back and forth, that I just don't see the reasoning in that at all.
And after watching them both tonight, and listen, they both, I think, if you give them a full game, they're going to do different things. They're going to be good. But if you ask me, after watching one full game tonight, watching them both, I think I probably go with Damian Garcia, just because you have Sweet who can run the ball, you have Garcia who throws well enough, and the things that he can do with his legs, you could see it tonight. I mean, it's special. He can get certain things out of nothing that I'm not sure Ryder can get, and he's going to have to be careful on some of his throws downfield because sometimes Damian kind of just chucks it up there and the ball's up for grabs. But he also made a lot of good passes tonight, and I think it's just a matter of having that confidence of being that guy that is going to be in there the whole game.
We are talking.
If you ask me, I'm probably going with Garcia next week against Servite.
Well, that'll be next week's 2-minute drill. We are talking right now about Bishop Amat's 24-21 loss to Mater Dei tonight. The biggest game in SoCal, a game that was on local television on Prime Ticket that got a lot of attention on social media and whatnot.
Oh, it was buzzing tonight.
Yeah, and Freddie, back to your point, or back to what you said, when they brought in Ryder for that final series, I believe it was sort of final series.
Yeah.
From what I understand, the scene within the Amat crowd was not too pretty. And it wasn't really pretty.
Bringing Ryder in that final
series?
series?
It was not a popular decision. Now, who really cares what the crowd thinks, right? I mean, as a coach, you got to go with what you go with. And I even mentioned this in.
Well, I got the sense, towards the end of the first half, Damian had been playing well, right?
Right.
And Amat got this stop right about midfield, about 50 seconds left. And Damian had been the quarterback at that point. And they brought Ryder in. And my theory on that is they're probably thinking he's our big play guy. He's the guy that we're going to use when we need to throw it downfield.
But then doesn't Mater Dei know that?
That's probably why they brought him in that final. So you're probably right.
Doesn't Mater Dei say here's the thrower?
I mean, if I can figure that out, I'm sure they can figure that out.
Yeah.
You think Rawlinson?
There are a lot better football minds in that sidelines than me. But you got the feeling that when Ryder comes in, he's that guy who's he's going to throw it downfield, and Damian's going to give you something different. You
mentioned the early turnovers that hurt Amat, but we have to be fair now because Mater Dei, I believe. Yeah, Mater Dei was intercepted and got it returned for a touchdown by Gaston.
Yeah,
right. So Amat fans are going to say, hey, all the turnovers killed us, but Mater Dei could sit there and say, it was 14-14. For some reason, we decided to throw right before the half, and Gaston picked it off and took it back for a touchdown. So turnovers, I guess, hurt both teams. Now we can get into well, hold on a second. Right now we can get into where do we go from here, because as bad as this loss is for Amat, because of all the hype, I mean, ranked number 1 in California by multiple publications, we've never seen Bishop Amat get this kind of media attention coming into a season. We've never seen
it. Not since we've been reporting.
And it's not just us. I mean. Okay, fine, but okay. Well, Stevie has, but you may have, but this is before you. That was before all these websites and whatever.
It's different now.
I mean, there's videos with Pat Hayden and all these people that know, hey, this is the season, and obviously, much to the chagrin of a lot of our area fans, our Prep Extra Live preview magazine was Bishop Amat dominated, and they come out and they lose the first game. But here's the good news, Freddie, and we'll get into this now. Their whole season is still in front of them.
It's August 28th.
Yeah. All of their goals.
August 28th. It's 100 degrees outside still.
It's 100 degrees on my forehead.
We're a long way from the wind and rain of December. And,
right. So that's kind of the point here is that all of this team's goals are still out there. I mean, winning a league title, winning CIF. Well, tonight doesn't ruin any of that. It just hurts your wild card shot for the league.
You're absolutely positive.
It might hurt your seeding too even if you go on and win the Mission League.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well,
I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in the fall. I don't think it's a game where a lot of people are going to look back and say, "Oh, Bishop Amat isn't who we thought they were." They're going to be a great team. Modern Day is a very good team.
What do you think?
I thought Modern Day is a real deal.
And they're young, right?
Yeah, I don't know how young they are. I'm just saying, watching the game tonight. Yeah, they look really good. I think Amat is going to be fine. They're going to settle down. You feel a lot better about Amat this year losing the opener than they did last year when they lost the game to Servite. Servite won really big tonight. I think they smacked. Who did they? I'm not sure. I forgot who they played.
I don't know.
They beat the heck out of them. That's
Steve Fryer was all over.
That'll be another tough game.
Listen, though, that's the thing, though. That's another Trinity League thing coming. Yeah. But again, don't diminish this loss, though, in the sense that for wild cards, last year the Trinity League got both wild cards in the Pac-5 division. Yeah. If you're Bishop Amat and you're the rest of the Mission League, you don't want people thinking that, hey, the 4th and 5th place teams from the Trinity deserve to get in instead of your 4th place team or maybe even your 5th place team. In that sense, it hurts because it's going to make the Trinity look better.
There's only how many guarantees?
There's 14 and there's 2 wild cards.
Yeah.
And the Trinity got both wild cards last year.
Yeah.
So again, this is going to be a notch in the Trinity's cap, and it may really play big in the minds of people at the end of the year, and the CIF at large formula, of course, will, this league getting a head-to-head win.
If Bishop Amat is playing for wild cards at the end of the year, then they're not who we thought they were at the end of the day.
That's true.
I really think they're going to get in the league, and they're going to fight for a league title and finish first.
May I ask you one last thing about this game? Okay, well, I want to say a couple things. I mean, you said the defensive line, they kind of got pushed around, but let's remember, Vasquez not playing. Aaron Maldonado, the big junior, he was suspended for the game, so at least he'll be back. So there's that. And then, how did Vons and Sidney do tonight? I mean, these are obviously the premier, poster boys of the program. Yeah. What were your thoughts on their performances?
Neither one of them had spectacular games. When the ball was in their vicinity, they made big catches and did good things with them. I thought there were a lot of overthrows, a lot of balls underthrown. It seemed like they were in double coverage, both of them, all night long. But they weren't spectacular. But again, they're quarterbacks.
So they're reliant on a QB getting them the ball, like all receivers.
One of the mistakes I thought they did tonight was try to throw downfield with those guys a little bit more than they needed to. There wasn't a lot of short stuff where those guys could take the ball and do things with their legs and make plays happen. I thought they tried to throw downfield a little bit too much, and I thought they could have went to Sweet a little bit more. He had that great start in the first half, and then they didn't really come back until late in the game, and part of that was the third quarter, your offense
was on the
field
ball
for 30 seconds.
Right.
Yeah, they couldn't stop anybody, and they were just short runs. Modern Day wasn't really throwing the ball at that point. The whole second half they ran the ball, and they wore Amat's defense down. And when you're on the field as a defense that long, when it's 100-degree temperatures during the day, it just wears you down. Mm-hmm. And I think they never really recovered from that first long drive in the second half.
It's hard to call your second game a must-win, Stevie, but I ask you, is next week's game at home against Servite at Kiefer a must-win?
I think it's a must-win for their psyche.
Yeah.
At the end.
What about Fred's psyche?
Well, maybe Fred's too. At the end of the day,
Fred will be there.
What is my psyche for?
No,
well,
at the end of the day, it's all about winning their league, and then you win the league, you get a playoff spot, and then it's basically how you play. But
with all this expectation,
all these expectations, you don't want to start out 0-2 because then it kind of upsets up here, and it's like all that hype La Mirada was getting a few years ago, and I think they started 1-4, and it kind of steamrolled from there.
You can blame it on the.
What about you, man? Must win.
The
Prep Extra jigs.
We like Sports Illustrated.
No, what do you think? Next week must win, or too easy to talk like that, or too early to talk?
Stevie hit it. I mean, it's more their psyche than anything else. You lose a second game doesn't mean your season's over. You haven't even started league.
Right.
But for a team with a lot of expectations, no one wants to start 0-2. Now these guys are too proud. They've been together too long. They've been through too much to starting 0-2 just leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
But you can come back from it. You get hot in league. You start 1-0, 2-0 in league, and then all of a sudden everything's changed. Your complete mindset. Good thing is they have the personnel. They have the players. I think they have to get a little more healthy. You're right. Vasquez probably isn't coming back the whole season, but they're going to need the other guys.
Brayton might be a 4 to 6 weeks thing here with the shoulder injury. Okay, so let's move on. That was Mater Dei beating Bishop Amat 24-21. Get ready for that one in social media and on the blogs this week, and it's going to be pretty mind-blowing to hear what people have to say. Freddie, we had another big game tonight featuring a Pac-5 team. Now, this is the one that was considered by one publication to be the number one team in the country, and I guess they really looked like it tonight. I saw your tweet earlier, man. La Mirada was up 8-6 on St. John Bosco.
I said, did this really happen?
Right, yeah, and I was thinking, hey, man, maybe, okay. 76-8, was that the final?
76-8, yeah.
Yeah, we knew they were biting off
76-8. Yeah. Come on, Machete. Come on, Mike. Can I say that to him? Come on, Mike. 76 points?
Well, I mean, you're really going against an animal, though, when you're talking about St. John Bosco.
76 points?
Yeah, I mean,
they're...
Stevie, this is a team you're close with.
I'm kind of shocked by that score. I mean, I thought they would get...
No, I don't think so, because Freddie said 21 points, and I was like, 21 points?
No, I thought they might lose something like 56-14 or something like that.
Yeah.
Not that that's, a blowout loss is a blowout loss.
Right.
But I was like Fred, too. I saw that 8-6 score, and wow.
Yeah.
They're really stepping up on... it's been a tough week. It's been a tough week for the program. And so I was kind of, when I saw that, I thought, oh, well, maybe they're really stepping up. And then I come back here and I see the final score.
Look, none of us expected La Mirada to win.
No.
But this is a program that I just can't explain it.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be able to compete, or not at that level. They're supposed to compete and make it a better game. You're not supposed to give up 76 points. I mean, if you're going to give up 76 points, you shouldn't play these games at all.
Yeah. No, I agree.
It's not worth it.
What do you get out of it?
I mean, back when West Covina, I look at those teams and they used to play.
Diamond Ranch used to do that.
Yeah, they used to try to step up. West Covina had done it against Loyola and a couple of those teams.
And Mater Dei.
And they would lose.
Yeah.
But they weren't giving up 76 points.
No.
I mean, they lose by 3 touchdowns or something. You'd say, they really didn't have a chance to win, but 76 points.
Yeah, and next week La Mirada travels to Charter Oak.
They had the nerve to write 8-6. Can this really happen?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, because everyone started thinking,
I was thinking the same thing at the Monrovia game.
Right, exactly.
I don't want to send out another tweet after that. I was so embarrassed for myself.
Let's get to their next week opponent, because Charter Oak, Freddie, they start off tonight. They get revenge over Green Valley, the team from Nevada that came here last year and won.
Was incredible tonight.
Yeah, now Charter Oak wins 42-21 out in, let's just call it Vegas, Henderson.
Yeah.
Now they play, like you said, Eccles, huge night tonight. I don't know what the touchdown count was. Opening kickoff, yeah.
He had 4 touchdowns tonight. I think
was it 4? I know it was like 4 in the first half, I think.
He finished with 4 touchdowns. It might have been one more. But we had a guy in Vegas who volunteered to stream that game for us. He's going to send a story back, so we're going to have a story from Las Vegas to Charter Oak.
That'll be good. Funny thing that I mentioned earlier this week in a notebook. the Charter Oak, Big Lou said he's only got like about 20 kids that are coming back on the bus tonight. The rest of them and their parents decided to make a weekend of it in Vegas.
Wouldn't you?
Well, now I would.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who wants to drive home after a game in Vegas, Aaron?
I hate driving home
from
Vegas,
period. Who wants to leave their kids there and a night in Vegas and come home?
Yeah, that's true, too.
I mean, I'm surprised that the other 20 kids didn't have parents stay the weekend with them.
For a little while, it looked like West Covina was going to knock off defending Central Division champion Colony. I think West Covina led 21-14. They lose 28-21.
Right.
Good effort from West Covina, but Colony, they're not going to be easy again this year, Freddie. I mean, this is a team that has its QB back. It's got that stud defensive back that intercepted like 10, 12 passes last year. Khalil Dorsey, I want to say.
I thought it was a really good result for West Covina 1 to be leading that game late. You lose to Colony. Colony's a great team. We saw them against Los Altos at the end of the year.
Yeah.
How good they really were.
Hey, speaking of Los Altos.
That's a good, Los Altos, you knew this was going to be big. I called this really early.
Yeah, I mean, they win 33-14 over Baldwin Park. They were up 33-0 at one point. Los Altos, remember, graduated that fantastic senior class last year. But they have the stud running back, Tyler Nevins, back. Him and Toriano Sweet, man, and Eccles. I mean, talk about great running backs in the Valley this year. They have Nevins back, and Ziola promised that this team is actually physically stronger in the weight room than that senior class, and most of them are only juniors. And so they come out tonight, they take care of business over Baldwin Park. You're going to have to watch out for Los Altos this year, Freddie. I know someone told you that Charter Oak West Covina game is going to be, big for that league title in the Hacienda League. I don't know, man. I think that's going to be Los Altos is going to have something to say about that.
I'm going to need more evidence than a victory over Baldwin Park.
Yeah, well.
Hey, Baldwin Park is a kid going to tell.
I'm just saying. I don't want to sour on Baldwin Park, but, I'm just looking at recent history.
Right, I got you. Okay. Speaking of big Central Division teams and wins, San Marino, and we'll get into Monrovia in just a second. San Marino routs Arroyo for the second straight year. They beat them 49-10. JP Shofi, the receiver, as good as any receiver in the Valley. Believe me when I tell you that. He goes off tonight. Carson Glazier, the quarterback, was off tonight.
Mike the cousin was there and said that guy was your receiver is incredible.
Oh, you got to see this kid, Freddie. JP Shofi, outstanding.
But you kind of knew that would be a blowout too, right? I mean, they're just a little bit more physical, a little bit more polished.
They can really throw the ball.
Yeah, I mean the thing with San Marino,
you got to see this kid.
The thing with San Marino, whoever they play, it seems like they're going to put a lot of points on it, and it's a matter if they can stop the other team, and it appears they did that tonight.
It's the summer, but it's not a summer 7-on-7. I mean, that's the only way Arroyo's got a chance against someone like San Marino.
When you mention San Marino, though, you have to mention Monrovia because that's the team that San Marino's trying to chase down in the Rio Hondo League. This Monrovia team had taken a lot of heat. Some of it from me, Stevie last year, maybe a little bit this year, and then this summer from me saying that I think they're down compared to the last 7-8 years. Yeah. This might be the least explosive they are in the skill spots, but they're very physical, team with some good linemen, and I think this is a year that San Marino, overtakes them when they have, Shofi and Glazier. Yeah. Monrovia goes out, they were trying to prove, everyone wrong that was doubting them this year. And they fall flat on their face tonight against Burbank. Burbank's a good team.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally Burbank the last few years have been a very strong team.
Yeah.
But they were supposed to be somewhat down. They're not ranked in the Southeast Division. Mm-hmm. They lost their best player, the graduation, the running back last year. So I thought they would be down, but they got down in this game. They had a big turnover early, which Monrovia turned into 6 points, and then a committee of running backs is what they basically did, and were able to run the ball, and Monrovia couldn't stop it, and their running game was almost non-existent. And the only thing that saved them was big plays. That's how they scored these 20 points.
I mean, is that program coming back to earth now?
That's the question.
They've had their run. They've had their years of getting to championships and being that premier elite team in Pasadena. It has been them and St. Francis and maybe Muir as that third team for so long, and they had their championship run. Is that over now? Have they come back to the middle of the pack? Or?
It might be, because from what I saw tonight, I don't see.
Is there a specialness to it?
I don't see a physical running back for them. The line may be physical, but they don't have someone who, like a Scobie or Cameron Johnson.
Cameron Johnson's at Cathedral
now.
Yeah,
he's at Cathedral.
Yeah, that's why you don't see it.
Yeah, I mean...
He transferred.
Monrovia's coach, they won all those championships. His name escapes me. What was his name?
Ryan Maddox.
Ryan Maddox. This is one of the smartest coaches, I think, in San Gabriel Valley history. This guy took over that program at the right time, and he left it right at the right time.
Well, wait, so you're saying you don't think he'd have kept it going?
He's still there.
You don't think he'd have kept... Because some people are saying, like, maybe Stevens is the reason why the program slipped. You don't think that Maddox would have kept it going?
No, I think
or they'd have slipped even with Maddox?
I think they'd have kept slipping. I think
Really?
Maddox is a good coach, but I think that he had a special level of talent those years that he was there while they competed in the Mid-Valley. I think it was a situation where, he's a good coach, but I think a lot of coaches
now that they're up in the Central?
I think had Steve Garrison stayed there with those
they don't want some CIF titles, huh?
Yeah,
right.
They want some championships.
Well, that's...
I'm nothing against him as a coach. I'm just saying he went in, took it over at the right time, he left at the absolute right time.
That's the thing about Coach Stevens. Yeah. I mean, he came over from Ontario Christian where they put up a lot of points. Yeah. And he was supposed to be an offensive guru type guy, a guy that ran crazy thing like wing tee, but they threw and all this stuff. Yeah. And you're not seeing the explosiveness.
No, I mean, tonight it looked like he has this big playbook, and he wants to try to use all these different, that he didn't kind of like stick to anything. It looked like, that they would throw, and Zamora was under duress a little bit when he threw, and then he wasn't the most consistent passer. He did hit some big plays, but they were just totally inconsistent tonight.
Wow. All right, so Monrovia Falls. The people that were getting in my left ear all off season about, hey man, this team's really down. They're on their way out. That side went over from the one that was getting in my right ear all off season, saying, hey, don't think that they're going to fall because they're still going to be all right. Okay, moving on. Muir falls to Salesian tonight, and the debut of Antoine Sims, 34-14. Freddie. PHS beat South El Monte 20-0. Was kind of hoping that score would be a little more if you're a Pasadena fan than just 20 points. But we'll see what happens there.
They got a shutout.
Yeah, they got a shutout. That's right.
I'll tell you an impressive score. Look at that Bonita score.
Now that's the team I was going to bring up because.
Okay, I know at the end of the night you like to get into your biggest surprises and whatever. Yeah. That's got to be one of those. That's going to.
No, forget about just the night, Freddie. This is a surprise team for the whole year. Bonita, right here. I've heard a lot of people that are saying, you talk about Fink, you talk about Cam Brown at Charter Oak, you talk about Glazier, but you don't talk about Tanner East, the quarterback from Bonita. And people are saying he belongs on that level. And, Sure's not what Sure, used to be. But they worked them tonight. This is a team that was an at-large last year, Freddie. They go to the semifinals before losing a good game, I think, to Los Altos. Yeah. So Bonita, I'm starting to think might be the surprise team this year.
Yeah, I mean, Sure's traditionally, a pretty decent team.
Yeah, score like that, the fact that it was 37.
47.
Or was it 47?
Yeah,
okay.
I like that it was 47-2 and not
49-2.
Okay. 49-2. That's even more impressive to me than 49-0.
But Sure is not the most offensive team traditionally.
Right.
But they're usually pretty good defensively. I mean, if it was like 21,
they can hit. They
can
run around.
If it was like 21-6 or something, then. But this kind of opens your eyes that this may be something. Pretty good at Bonita.
I ran into Coach Adrian Madrano, in a bar about a month ago, and he was quietly optimistic, really, about this team. And I didn't know too much what to think of it because I didn't have a lot of expectation for them coming into this year. But he did. He felt really good about this group and what he had.
I tell you what, Madrano's college buddy, Ibis Aguilar, who coached at South El Monte, led them to that league championship, and for some stupid reason was let go this offseason, wasn't able to get the teaching job type thing, was pink slip, that kind of thing, and ultimately let go, is now on staff at Bonita. That guy is one of the very, very sharpest young coaches around. And Ibis with Adrian, they got a real shot. I'm telling you, they might make some noise. They're in that Palomares League with Glendora. Another team in there, Freddie, that got ticked off at me for picking them 5th in league. South Hills goes out tonight. And it's kind of like last year. Last year they won all these games ugly. They won them close. They go to Diamond Ranch tonight. They win 7-0. Good win for the Huskies.
A really good win. I mean, your defense tossing a shutout in the first game is always good. I know a few. I know one of these.
Your offense almost tossed one too.
Yes, exactly. They were. South Hills was concerned about their offense going into the season.
Yeah, you said like the freshman QB or something.
Yeah, they're starting a freshman quarterback. Okay. I don't know for sure if he started tonight, but that was the plan going in.
Right.
And, any win was a good win. I think South Hills was looking at their schedule, and there was a big scare that they could start 0-4 or 0-5 going into league, and that this was probably the game that they needed to get.
Right.
This was going to be the easiest game in their non-league schedule, so it was a good win for them to pick up because the next 2 or 3 weeks are going to be pretty difficult.
Northview knocks off Rosemead.
That's my team.
Yeah, that's Northview, a lot of high expectations this year.
That's my team this year.
That is Stevie's team too, yeah.
Me, Northview, and Alberto's.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the one thing about not being in that Tribune office anymore is I can't put Alberto's. You can because it's on your way home, but I'm going to have to stick to Alfredo's and El Monte.
Tijuana Tacos around the corner. There's a lot of places right there.
I know, great Mexican food. Yeah. I'm not. Look at me,
Pepe's,
Fred. You don't think I'm aware of it? Look at me. I'm aware. Okay, listen.
I can go on and on.
Speaking of El Monte and Alfredo's, El Monte tonight, 44-30 losers tonight to Montebello, and we can get into this.
Can't keep up giving that many points, Aaron. You're not going to win when you give up 44 points.
Well, I tell you what, you're not going to win when you're always going for it on fourth down, and that's what El Monte is doing. I don't know.
Still not punting the football?
Yeah, I think they saw that Real Sports segment on that coach in Arkansas or whatever that he goes for it. He never punts, and he onside kicks on every kick.
Back when they had B-Mark, they did the same thing. They never punted the ball.
They're not punting, and tonight they got stopped 4 times in Montebello territory, stopped on downs in the first half 4 times in Montebello territory.
Look, when your team's been giving up 50 points a game per season, you've got to stop doing things like that.
Well, it hurt them tonight because it was almost like Pete Gonzalez and Brian Zavala and Montebello. They were sitting there saying, you know what, we're going to sit back and just watch you do your thing. And if you want to play the risky, we're not going to risk it, and whatever falls into our lap, and we'll take advantage of it. And they got the guy to take advantage of it.
There's a reason you don't see NFL teams and big-time college football teams going for it on fourth down.
Yeah, because the coaches will be fired the minute it doesn't work.
20 every other series. Yeah.
Well, the coach will be fired the minute it doesn't work. Yeah. But let me tell you something, Stevie. Isaac Mendebles, we've talked about this kid for a while. I mean, he's been a stud since his sophomore season. Awesome tonight. Returns 2 kickoffs for touchdowns. He has a touchdown receiving, a touchdown rushing. He was awesome tonight. Zavala's defense did a very good job against a El Monte offense that moved the ball but didn't always score points. Barajas scored 3 touchdowns for El Monte. That Dominguez kid, the QB, he's a big, tall kid. He throws a really nice ball. You can see that this El Monte team has firepower. And for Montebello, I know the scoreboard says 44-30, and you say, hey, they gave up 30 points. How good could that defense be? I like what I saw. Pete Gonzalez puts out a product that these kids, it's like St. Francis. And I guess, Pete used to be at St. Paul, so it makes sense. These kids tackle right. They're in the right position. They're disciplined. They do all the little things right. And if they're anywhere on the field that they don't have the talent edge, just doing everything right makes up for a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, with Coach Zavala, too, I mean, he's a great defensive coach.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're not going to take a lot of chances on defense. Everyone's just going to execute, do their job.
Right.
And offensively, with Mendebles,
they're winning the Almont League again. They're winning the Almont League again. I don't know what. I mean, maybe Bell Gardens, who gave beat Arcadia tonight, 42-37. I mean, maybe Bell Gardens can say something about it. But I tell you what, this Montebello team, I think they could even make it maybe to the semis if everything breaks right.
That's kind of their battle cry this year. I went to one of their practices in the summer, and they're tired of the last 2 years of losing in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, they went out against Northview last year.
And that's going to be a big game for them next week.
Yeah, Northview, right?
Yeah. They get Northview at home.
That's a good game.
Yeah, it is
a really good game. Seriously.
That's at the district, huh?
No, it's at Montebello.
It's at Montebello? Okay. I thought you said it was...
Boy, I'm telling you, this team, they do...
Covina gets the first shot at the new district field.
Right. This team, I was really impressed by Montebello, and look, El Monte's going to bounce back. They're going to be fine. Those tactics will give a lot of Mission Valley League teams trouble, and I'm pretty certain El Monte will get into the playoffs when it's all said and done. La Puente loses tonight in the debut of their new coach, was it Eric Williams, I believe, 29-16 to Sierra Vista. La Habra, they got a lot of high expectations. They got a high-power offense. They beat El Toro 41-7. Good to see La Habra playing defense to go with that offense.
Yeah.
Because that's the question.
Yeah. Last year, they couldn't stop anyone.
Right.
They were winning games 42-35,
Right.
42-38.
And losing games by those scores.
Yeah, and that's what bit them in the playoffs. They couldn't stop the opposition.
Right.
So to win a game that convincingly, it's got to be a good thing for Coach Gonzaga.
Yeah, now here's a very important score tonight, Freddie and Steve. One of the big stories this week that probably didn't get enough publicity, as it were, Margarito Beltran let go by Lucerna. This is a guy that built that program into an absolute powerhouse. Recent wins, in recent years, wins over Westlake and St. Francis. 3 straight CIF championship games, 5 straight semifinals, CIF champions 2 years ago. He was let go, for some pretty, circumstances that we can't get into. They win tonight, though, Freddie. They beat Eastlake 14-13. That's got to feel good for the players and the new coach. I think his name's Andy George.
Yeah, I'm not shocked that they were able to, it's tough on your psyche when all that kind of happens, but they've got a good coaching staff.
Yeah.
They're a very close coaching
But they're starting
staff.
to lose chunks of it, I noticed. Yeah. Like the new South El Monte coach was one of Beltran's assistants.
Yeah.
Some of these guys are staring that were there 3 or 4 years ago. I think the Cal coach used to be a Lucerna coach.
Yeah, that's going to happen when you have success. Other programs, they want to get a piece of that. But but the coaching staff that they had last year was pretty close, and I could see them pulling. When something happens like that, like La Mirada, but they were facing St. John Bosco, but in Lucerna, that brings the team kind of closer together.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's what happened tonight.
Ready?
I'll tell you, I'm talking about a result that I like tonight. Nogales beating
great
call. And I'll tell you why I like this, because this team took a lot of heat. They put out their own video debuting these super nice Nike uniforms.
I think you call them Oregon-like.
Yeah, Oregon-like the way they look. And there was a lot of flash to them. Yeah. And I put that on the blog, and that thread must have had about 50 comments of people clowning them about, it's going to be the same old Nogales no matter what.
Why?
I think it's they thought
what's people's problems?
I think they just thought, these uniforms aren't going to make a difference. They're going to be the same old Nogales. And uniforms don't make a team, but maybe in their heads, these guys felt good about themselves.
But they bring excitement.
Chip on their shoulder. Right. Look, this game 2 years ago, Azusa wins that game 50-0. It's nice to see them finally, kind of. Nogales used to be a football power 20 years ago.
Yeah, it was a different demographic.
I don't know if anyone's been by the school. It's not just these uniforms. If you've been by that school lately, that whole school has been completely redone. It looks like some tech university over there.
Good.
It's really nice. So good for those kids. Good for that program. That's a big win. Wear those uniforms loud.
I'm glad you brought up that stuff, the crap people gave people on the blog. Because let me tell you something. These kids are looking for anything to latch on to.
Feel good about.
If it's uniforms that gets them out there and excited about their program, then so be it. Let me tell you about a program that started doing things like this, and everyone clowned them too. That would be Los Altos when Dale Ziola took over. He brought the fun into the program. Midnight practice to start the season. Just bringing the pride back. And you know what? People may have laughed at that too, but now look where Los Altos is. They're back. And El Monte is the same thing. Joel Sanchez has those kids out in the best dry fits and the camouflage shorts, and it's great. The kids respond to it, they love it, and all of a sudden they start winning games. So what's wrong with Nogales trying to do the same thing?
It goes back with, anyone who feels like someone's invested in us is going to give that back.
Exactly right.
Yeah. And that's that may be happening over there. If they're feeling like they're investing, they care about us. They're trying to do something to make us feel good about ourselves.
Right.
And look what happens. They get a big season opening win over a team like Azusa, who is normally one of the better teams when you talk about,
at that level,
in those playoff divisions. So,
like you said, that's a 50-0 game 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, listen, sometimes you got to fake it till you make it. And Nogales got a big win tonight. That's a good one. And that should probably lead us into our
a shocking loss tonight. I don't know if it's a shocking loss. Pomona lost tonight, our defending champions.
Yeah. But Oak Hills is a good inland program. Aren't they inland, Stevie?
Yeah, they're up in...
Shocking was a bad word, but they got handled, it looks like.
Up in the Hesperia area.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into it. Biggest surprise, biggest disappointment. Stevie, do you want to kick off? Or Freddie, do you want to kick off?
The biggest disappointment, La Mirada was the biggest disappointment, just because of how lopsided it was for a team that is trying to take those steps to being a premier high school program that wants to be a CIF champion in their division, who wants to take on those top dogs. You want to take on those top dogs. You want to schedule those games. You better make them competitive. And if you're not going to make them competitive, then just stop doing it. I mean, I think this is 2 years in a row where they've really stepped up in class against a super team and really
Servite waxed them last year. But in La Mirada's defense, they beat Tesoro.
Right, yeah.
Good win.
So we'll
Tesoro's probably a little more like it than the top 5 Pac-5 teams.
But the biggest disappointment is because of all the hype, because of all the expectations. Bishop Amat had the video that they put together with Pat Hayden talking, with McKay talking. All these people that they brought in here. There was a lot of hype and
So what's your biggest disappointment, La Mirada or Amat?
La Mirada has to be the biggest disappointment. That score, at least the Amat game was competitive. You knew La Mirada was going to lose, but man, to get 70-some points, that's.
You agree that's your biggest disappointment?
Yeah, well, it's almost my biggest shock in a way too, because
it can be both
shock and disappointment.
Yeah,
Come on, Machete.
Yeah, I just can't believe they lost the game. I know St. John Bosco, like I said, they're one of the top programs in the state,
in the country,
in the country. Yeah. They lost their quarterback from last year is going to be starting at UCLA, but there comes a time in every program where you just stick guys in there.
And we may be saying 8-9 weeks from now that maybe St. John Bosco is just that good.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, that's a given. My biggest disappointment was Monrovia. Just following your scores, the updates, they're not ever really. I know they were in the game technically, but they were it seemed like they were always behind, and that's a disappointment to me. Really, a disappointment to me, because I hate to say this, but I had watched a lot of hype videos of them, and I just thought this team was going to come out with just on absolute fire. Like, people are doubting us. People think we're going away. We're going to crack Burbank. And they got a very vanilla Burbank team. Yeah. And Burbank's good at what they do, but they're vanilla. And
then next week they host Bonita, who's coming off a big win.
Right. Okay. Well, that's fine. Boy, we got some games next week. West Covina's playing St. Francis.
There's a lot of good games.
Charter Oaks playing.
You got the Northview game that you're just talking about.
Yeah, Northview and De Montebello. Charter Oaks playing La Mirada. This is going to be good. My biggest surprise was the QB rotating by Bishop Amat. Just hearing about that, I didn't think.
Well, why are you surprised? You kind of knew that was coming, probably.
No, I didn't.
You think they were going to start going with one and that was going to be it?
I just didn't think that after 2 series you lift Ryder. I didn't think that would be their approach, especially that coaching staff. They don't seem like the kind of guys that would be like, juggling, QBs like that. I just thought he'd have a longer leash, and then to do it the whole game is kind of surprising me. If Damien came in and maybe made a mistake, but rejuvenated them, then maybe you stick with Damien the whole way. But again, this was
it's such a hard decision to go with the one, because they're both seniors, because they both gave you so much last year. But I think they learned tonight that you can't do that. Yeah. And I would be surprised next week if they're rotating them again. I'd be surprised even if it was a quarter by quarter thing. I think next week, my guess is they're gonna look at what happened tonight. They're going to go with one, give that one that chance to win that job and lead them to where they think they need to go. And if he doesn't work, then you go to the other guy. I think you've got to do it at this point, because the game plan for 14 weeks can't be that you rotate guys. Every other, not every other quarter, every other series, or 2 series here.
You're gambling when you're
there was no.
You can't. As a
there was no rationale or reason for it tonight the way they did it. It was 2 series and back to here. It was him come back and 2. There was no reason why you'd bring one guy in this series other than what I said.
If you go with one guy and say you get down 21-0 in the second half, then you might bring the other guy in. But
you want to see some improved QB play at Amat. Take the big man off the play cards.
Yeah.
And I think Brian Adamick, the guy from the 95 team tonight, said that maybe the reason they threw 4 picks was because Aram's on the cards.
Well,
so get me off those cards, and these guys might.
But let me ask you, the receivers didn't have a great night. Do you think that affects the receivers when you don't have the same quarterback in their own. I think you develop a rhythm throughout the season.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, they're two different quarterbacks
Huge.
where they throw the ball. I mean,
Huge.
you have these two superstar USC receivers, and you're going to be platooning your quarterbacks, and that's not going to work.
The old saying is the receiver.
The only guy that worked tonight really
only good as the quarterback.
That's 1,000% right.
Yeah.
Tom Brady will throw anybody into being an all-star.
Yeah.
Into being an all-pro.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
I mean, but then you take these stud receivers that go from in the NFL that go from being with a great quarterback that sign free agent contracts with teams that have like Brian Hoyer at QB. All of a sudden, those stud receivers don't look so good anymore. Because they're reliant on QB. Receiver's the most overrated position on the planet. They're the prima donnas of the team.
Yeah.
Every year in the NFL draft, people take them way high. If you don't got the quarterback, then whatever the receiver's doing doesn't matter.
You need those receivers in your fantasy.
Well,
I read this. That's why the spread option offense was kind of created because I think it was Rich Rodriguez. He couldn't get his receivers the ball with the quarterback he had, so he developed this offense that he could get his big weapons.
I'm just saying they're going to have to figure out before they go into league who's our guy.
Listen,
and you know what? It could be Ryder. It could be. I mean, they both, like I said, they both give you something, but you better. You got to hand the baton off, the torch, whatever you want to call it, to one of them. And if one of them's not doing it, then you go to the other guy. But what they did tonight, long haul's not going to work.
I'm scared to see.
Not with two super receivers like that.
I'm scared to see what the blogs are going to be like this week. I don't know where the explosion's going to happen. Your blog, my blog, Steve's
blog.
Not
since 95 is going to return.
Yeah, T-Bone's already going after it on Twitter. Of course, a lot of guys on Twitter tonight were telling me when I came out this week and said it's the worst offseason in history that I was already making excuses for the loss they're about to have at Mater Dei. And I wasn't making excuses for it. I was just calling it like it is. And, regardless, I picked Mater Dei. So, I mean, how am I making excuses for them? You could see it coming. I mean, it's one of these things where I don't know, man. If my text messages are any indicator, I'm scared to see what people say on the blogs this week. And hopefully Alma fans realize you're still a very talented, good team.
Yeah, I mean,
and everything's in front of you still.
Yeah, it was a game. Could have went either way very easily. I mean, they lost tonight, and that's all anyone's going to take away from it, really, is that they lost. But it was right there for the taking. I mean, Almat's going to be there in the end. I'm confident of that.
Be where in the end?
I think they're going to be in the mix in the end. I think
what's in the mix?
They're going to be able to play with anybody.
This is three fake things in a row. Be there in the end, in the mix, and play with anybody. Well, are you saying semifinals, finals? I mean, because the expectations this year are like semifinals or beyond.
When I say in the mix, when I say that they're going to be in that Final Four, that Final 8, they're going to compete. They may run into Mater Dei again in the playoffs. Who knows? They're going to play Servite next week. That might be a team they get in the playoffs.
I think we can all agree though that the expectations are like semifinals or beyond or bust. It's a bust if they don't make at least the semis.
Absolutely. This team.
And that's rough because their league and their division, that's not an easy feat. Yeah. I don't care how talented they are.
Yeah, you got a team like Bosco, you got a team like...
you got Sarah in their own league who's scary. Anyways, get on the blogs, everybody. Let us know about the games you were at. Let us know your opinions of everything. We obviously have a pretty good indicator of what's going to be dominating the discussion. And we'll be back early next week to talk with you all about what's going to be looking like a great week one as far as the matchups are concerned. All right, week 0 in the books. Lots to talk about. Lots of reaction coming. Have a nice weekend, and we will see you. We will see you on the blogs.
All right, Aaron, wrap it up.